All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of Carnivore Trades. Today is Wednesday, March 23rd, 2022. So another quiet day here on the spiders, kind of just drifting lower here, making slight lower lows. You can see the triple Qs making equal lows essentially as we kind of just float into the close, with the exception really of Apple and Tesla today. If we take a look at the daily here, here's Tesla. I told you guys a week or so ago that Tesla was going to get up to 1050 and got up there basically 1040 and change before pulling back sharply off the highs. And it's still holding this 100 moving average. It's still basically holding that $1,000 psychological level right now. But what a move this was off the lows here on Tesla. A lot of short covering, and now as we get to the top here, it's starting to look kind of like a gamma squeeze. This thing does need to pull back though. Same thing on Apple, getting through that 170 area. Looks like short covering at the bottom, and now looking like more like a gamma squeeze here at the top. But you know, this has upside to 175 or so, and then I think there's quite a bit of resistance up there. But again, kind of stretched here in the near term. Overall, though, when you have very light volume like this, if we look at the spiders here, just 53 million shares traded. We got 20 minutes left in the trading day. You don't really want to short a dull market, and this light volume does favor a buoyant market. It does favor the upside. Doesn't mean you can't have a little sell-off. You know, we're dripping down a little bit here in the last half hour or so. You know, the market is due for a pullback and favored upside. The probabilities favor a pullback here. So that is kind of what we're looking at here. Probably some consolidation, but I don't really see a major reaction. If we look at the futures here, we take a look at the E-mini. You know, we got up to that 45.10 area, or excuse me, 45.10 area, 451 area on the futures, and we're getting a pullback. But again, very light volume. It's not like we're getting a major reaction, and it doesn't appear that we're in that kind of sell the rip mode that we were a few weeks ago. At least not yet. So that, you know, does lead me to believe that if this market does pull back a little bit, we probably have another leg higher. I would not rule that out at all. We haven't really seen bears come in the market. We haven't really seen a major reaction off of resistance. We've gotten into resistance and we're seeing a little pullback, but this is, you know, far from what we saw a few weeks ago. So we'll kind of give the market the benefit of the doubt for now. Again, we may get a pullback into on the spiders here. I got about that 442 area. Somewhere in that area would not surprise me that you had this pivot high. That's where you broke out of. So, you know, 50 moving average, we'll see if it can hold that somewhere in that range. You know, not to say that it can't drip a little bit lower than that even. But right now I'm not seeing any major selling. So I wouldn't get too excited on the sell side just yet. I know bears are basically chomping at the bit to short this market, but there's no real sell signal in this right now. And there's nothing to say this can't get above that 100 moving average and maybe test these pivots around 457, 458. There will be a lot of resistance up here, just so everyone knows, but we're not quite there yet. And again, we're not seeing a huge reaction. What I will say though is if you look at the Russell 2000, you can see here on the intraday, the last couple of days, it's kind of underperformed just a little bit. Notice how we're making lower lows here intraday on the Russell, and we're not doing that on the triple Qs. So we are doing on the spiders, but the Russell started to underperform just a little bit. And, you know, that's what I was noticing the last several weeks that I've been pointing out to you guys every day is that the Russell's been holding up. The Russell's been holding up. The Russell looks strong here. The Russell isn't making lower lows. Well, that is starting to change now. It's only been a day or two that I've noticed a little bit of underperformance, so we won't go too crazy with it, but definitely keep that, you know, on your radar. The Russell is a leading indicator and it'll tell you a lot. But in the meantime, it can get up to 210, 212 if the spiders push higher. So, you know, it has a little bit of upside left in it, but that is something to make note of at least. Dow here, diamond, pulling back a little bit. You can make a case. It's got like a micro kind of evening star set up here, gap up, and then a gap down. But, you know, it looks like it's trying to hold the 50 moving average, and it's still well within this big green bar. So I wouldn't make too much out of it. Nothing too terrible there. Triple Qs, same thing. Pulling back pretty nicely, but I mean, you're well inside of this candle. We'll probably get some type of a doji here. We'll see where they close it at the end of the day. Now we're getting a bid here. We got about 15 minutes left. Let's see if they save it from the lows here, as we did fade a little bit. But again, above that 50 moving average, no confirmation yet, but still an inside day and really just a pause, all things considered. Same thing on the semis, obviously. Still not above the 50 moving average, but still well inside of this big green bar from the 18th. So again, we'll kind of give it the benefit of the doubt for now. It's not, I don't see anything too terrible there on the daily. Same thing with IGV, although IGV is underperforming. Very light volume here, but look how closer, how much closer this is to the lows than say the semis. Much closer to the lows here, and really that's been the case all year, right? We talked about that in December. We talked about that in January, how weak cloud software was compared to the rest of tech, even though the rest of tech was all weak, or the whole market was weak in January, but how much more weaker IGV was. But anyways, it's hanging in there. It's holding yesterday's green bar for now, so it's not under too much pressure just yet. Dow Transports continuing to hold up. I like this pattern here. I like this pattern from Dow Transports. If we take a look at jets, the more backing and filling you do, the more that you can attack this, the more juice you'll have when you attack this red bar high here. I don't think it's quite done consolidating yet, but I don't see anything terrible there. CSX starting to put in a little consolidation from the move Monday. Norfolk Southern NSC also consolidating sideways, a little bit sloppier. And Union Pacific continues to be a powerhouse near the highs here. A little overbought, but it's not extended. It's parallel to the 20 moving average, so nothing terrible there. FedEx. Also putting in some sloppy consolidation, not a huge fan of that one. And UPS also pulling back a little bit, but holding this green bar low for now. And nothing terrible, nice move up and some consolidation. So I do like the transports here. Again, I told you guys that 17,000 level was going to be my target, and I do expect that to get hit. So I don't really see anything wrong here with the transports for potential long setup, honestly. Anyways, moving on to yields. We did get a pullback finally, a 2% move down, and the 10-year, the 30-year really got hit down 2.85%, and a pretty big engulfing reversal there. I don't know if this is a top. It's hard to say here, but you did reject that 2.6 area, and you see that little chop there. That's where you went into resistance. Obviously, we broke out of this area, but we never confirmed about that on the weekly time frame. So yeah, maybe yields pull back here. I do have a potential target of 2.8 on the 30-year. So maybe this is a pullback for a bigger move, or maybe it's a top. I'm not really sure. I would think that if it was a top, the markets would be responding a lot more than they are right now. So I mean, spiders are down here, but now look, they're getting a bid here in the last 10, 15 minutes. It's not like we're seeing a major sell-off, a major knee-jerk sell-off. So I'm not sure that this is a top in yields just yet, but a pretty good reversal nonetheless. High yield here. I don't see anything wrong with this right now. I mean, obviously it's been beaten down and it's flashing warning signs, but it's holding up. It's starting to go sideways here. So, maybe it can put in some consolidation and maybe it can move higher. Again, if it can do that, that would be a huge positive for the market. If it rolls over, you guys know that's obviously a big negative. Now, interesting thing while we're on yields here, take a look at XHB. Getting smacked today, down 3.5%. ITB also down 3.5%. So these are, with yields reversing, this should be good for home builders, and they are not responding nicely. So I'm not really sure what's going on there, but BNQ, pulling back a little bit, but off the lows and holding this green bar low. So I know we had some housing data this morning, so maybe that had a lot to do with it, but yields pulling back should be good for these names, and it is not really giving them a lift right now. VNQ is the strongest out of the three, but definitely keep that on your radar. Anyways, XLE, again, what can you say? Up 2% here. Nice move, but it is starting to get really extended. On the weekly and especially on the monthly, this is unsustainable. You're 30% or so extended from your 50 is your, let's see, 50 move or 20 moving average is at $50. You're at 77, so you're 50% extended from your 20 moving average on the monthly. That's unsustainable. These names are just I don't care how great the fundamentals are. This isn't sustainable. It's as simple as that. I think these names are on borrowed time here for a major correction. XOP, same thing. OIH, same thing. Crude is holding up for the meantime right now. Again, we knew this was going to be good support. That's why we went long UCO. I still have this getting up to at least 116 in the near term, and there's nothing really to say that it can't. Had a strong day today and a nice rebound off that 50 moving average. So we'll see what we get out here. Again, if we get a lower high, then crude maybe in for a pretty good correction here, but until then, it's holding up okay. And nat gas continuing higher, though, starting to pull back just now here, but got through that 525 area. Again, there's a lot of resistance at this red bar, so it's got to do a lot of consolidation. But we talked about this potential breakout here, and nice little continuation today, although it is rolling over a bit, so it doesn't look like it's going to be able to confirm above this little wedge pattern. But a nice little move there for nat gas nonetheless. Dollar index. Really a nothing burger. Just refer to the last 3 or so days of analysis on that. It's into resistance. It's trying to consolidate, but I think it needs to do a little bit more of a correction. All right, so gold having a good day. So this is the positive here. If we look at GDX, I've been talking about GDX a lot here. That's making new week-to-date highs. So that's getting above these pivots here, and nothing wrong with that. I don't know how much higher it can go before it's going to run into a lot of resistance. This big tail, that's a lot of distribution there. But we talked about how we don't want to see gold go sideways here, and it's starting to get a pop, and the miners are shaping up a little bit. If you can close above this red bar high at 1956 and 90 cents on the daily chart, that would be a huge positive for gold. So we'll continue to watch that. Silver, obviously, same thing. Although it's in a much weaker technical position, you really got to get above this high first, and then you can talk about getting above this high. But again, the miners are looking a little bit better. That's not a bad pattern in SIL and SILJ. I like this. This is a good pattern here in SILJ. The longer it consolidates, the higher it can go. So we'll see if the miners are giving us a leading indicator. Platinum also potentially putting in maybe a higher low here with that little doji today. We'll have to see what we get tomorrow. And palladium, it's green, but it's still inside of that big reversal from yesterday. It's in a much weaker technical position. And copper getting a nice move today, making new highs here. So taking out those highs, and let's take a look at the weekly here. Yeah, nothing terrible there. I mean, I don't like that reversal there. It's getting a nice retrace, though. I don't see anything wrong with it on the daily, but we'll have to see a little bit more, see where it closes out the week to get a better picture. All right, so let's flip back over to the coins here. Again, quiet day on the coins, pretty much flat across the board here. Well, yeah, a few of them moving. Cardano's moving. Let's see, up 8%. Yeah, nice move in Cardano. Doge is moving a little bit. But Bitcoin and Ether, which is usually what I key off of, really just kind of an inside day. It looks like they're just really trying to consolidate here, especially Bitcoin, perhaps trying to get above this wedge pattern. And again, nothing really has changed in my analysis until we either break one way or the other on this. But again, if Bitcoin and Ether start to sell off really sharply, and especially if the Russell is underperforming as well, that could be an indicator that the market is getting ready to roll over a bit. But for now, again, really light volume. Got to give the market the upside bias. Doesn't mean we can't have a pullback. Starting to chop around here. Looks like they're fading that little move we had towards the end of the day. But ultimately, this is just here. We've not even 60 million shares traded right now, and it's almost 4 o'clock. So very, very light volume. And considering the market is down 1%, that's usually unheard of for the market to be down that much with this light volume. But that's the kind of territory we're in right now. Let's take a look at the VIX here really fast. Yeah, so VIX, it's trying to hold that 100 moving average. This has got to go down and test 22, and then I think ultimately 20 is going to be the bigger level where that gets defended more majorly. Anyways, guys, I'm going to wrap it up here. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com. Take care, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow.